Hi, I'm Maggie from maggiescrochet.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make an arm knitted cowl using 2 skeins of Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick number 6 super bulky yarn, and this color is Fig, and it's recently been becoming my favorite color. So anyway, to get started, I'm going to cast on 9 stitches, and so I've measured off 3 yards for my long tail, and this is called a long tail cast on. So this will be my long tail, the 3 yards that I measured off right here. And this over here, I've pulled the middle out of each skein of yarn, and I'll be working from those strands there. And this is called my working yarn right here. So right at the 3 yard mark, I want to make a slip knot, and to do that I just make a circle, and then that top strand I fold over the middle of the circle in the back, and then I pull that forward. Now you'll see there's a knot side and a slip side, so I want to pull the knot side tight, and then I want the slip side to ease out like this to fit on my arm. So this is just 2 strands. So I need to cast on 8 more strands because the slip knot counts as my first stitch. So I want my long tail over here and my working yarn here, and to cast on, you just put your hand in here and you lift up, and that creates 2 loops on your hook, on your hand. Draped on your hand, and you go on this side of this loop and you pick up that loop over there on that side. Now this loop drops down, and this new loop right here came from that yarn over there, and that slides up on your hand, and then you tighten that. Not too tight, but see underneath there, you're going to tighten that just a little bit. So then again, you lift this up, go on this side of this loop, pick up this loop is dropping, and you put it on your arm like that. Okay, that's 3 stitches so far. You pick this up, go over here, just grab this yarn loop over here, let this loop drop, and put that on your hand. So all of your cast on stitches are coming from your long tail. So again, you just go like this, raise your hand up like that, go right here, and then pull that through. Okay, and then you always want to tighten. All the way through the entire thing you want to tighten. Okay, you pull this up, grab this, grab that strand right there, bring it through, tighten. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to cast on 3 more. Go like this and pull that, and then up, go on this side and just grab that strand right there and let this loop fall down, and then pull this. You can hold that there and pull this here. And this is the last one for the 9. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, now 9. Like that. And pull that through like that. Okay, cool. Now we're ready. Okay, from this point, I'm not going to be using this long tail anymore. So that gets sewn in at the end, and you don't even want to pick that up anymore. So I'm done with that. Okay, now to start row 1, what you do is hold the working yarn in your hand, both strands like this, and just take the last loop, drop it off onto the working yarn, put the new loop right there of working yarn over here, and that becomes the first stitch over here, and then tighten. And then again, pick this up, drop 2 loops over, that created a new loop. This loop's dropped, and this goes over here. Okay. All right, hold the working yarn back over here, slip this over, and put the new loop on and tighten. This one ball of yarn over here is giving me a little trouble. Hold on. All right. You may want to wind the balls up. Okay, now if you get distracted and you're like, oh, what loops am I taking off? To remember, all you have to do is know that you have to reach over to the other hand to pick up this. So you know that I know that I'm working this, because I would never go like this and start working loops off, because that strand is with that hand. So I know that I have to reach across to the other side. That's how I remember. Okay, so work that one off, put the new loop up and tighten. Take this in my hand, move this over and tighten. So you just keep doing that with all 9 loops. Okay, and then I have to reach over to get this strand like this, put that one over there and tighten, and last one like this, move that over and tighten. There. So that's the end of row 1, and the stitches that are facing you right there are called knit stitches. Okay, so for row 2, the same thing. All these loops are going to land up over here. So I'm going to hold the working yarn right here. It's the only time it starts being over here is when you're starting a new row. So I'm going to go like this, and now see how that working yarn is transferred over to here now. So from this point forward, I'm going to be reaching over to get my working yarn. And then tighten, drop the next ones off, and tighten, and drop off, and tighten, drop off. So once you get the hang of this, you can do this really quick. I think you could do a row in under a minute, and I don't know exactly how many rows this will end up being, but you can continue working these rows like I just showed you. Alright, I found my trouble with my yarn. Okay, so if you continue working these rows until you reach, I think it'd be too long to keep going until you reach the end of both skeins, but if you want to, you can. But be sure that you have at least 3 or 4 yards at the very end, because you're going to need the extra yards to bind off. So you just keep going back and forth, and now all these loops will be worked off onto this arm, and then just back and forth. And there you see the end of row 2. So if you just keep on like this, you'll be able to build your cowl. So keep going, and then I'll keep going, and I'll come back on camera and I'll show you how to bind off and how to sew the ends together for this arm knitted cowl. My scarf measures over 4 feet long, and when it was on one arm, I wrapped it around my head to make sure it's the length I want. Keeping in mind that I have one more row to work, and that's the bind off row, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So when this is completely stretched down, I think it'll be like 5 yards. Yeah, 5 yards long. So to bind off, it doesn't matter which side the loops land up on. It just so happened that I want to quit with the loops over on this side. So to bind off, I will knit 2 stitches like I've been doing to start, and I will just pull that over here like that, tighten that, and pull the next one off like that. Okay, now with 2 stitches on my hand like this, I take the previous loop and I just pull it over the new loop and drop it. So that's bound off there. Now I'm going to pull this, hold this strand over here, knit the next stitch like this, put that over on the opposite hand, always tighten. Okay, take the previous loop, drop it over the new loop. Pick up my working strand. Got all these ends here. Okay, there. Okay, pull up my working strand again, knit off the next loop, put that on the opposite hand, tighten, take the previous loop, drop it over the new loop. Pick up my strand, knit this stitch, tighten, take the previous strand, drop it off over the new strand, the new loop. Knit the next stitch like this, tighten, take the previous strand, drop it off over the new strand, the new loop. Knit the next stitch, tighten, previous loop over new loop, and you just keep doing that all the way down. Okay, last loop, knit that off, put that over here, tighten it, previous loop over the last loop like that. Okay, you don't want to lose track of this one. So you want to cut I'm going to cut right here about 12, maybe 18 inches away from the last loop right there. Okay, now the last loop like this, you bring the working strand through like a loop, but then you pull it all the way through, and then when you pull this like this, it'll lock that last loop. Okay, so when you look at where you bound off, it'll look like this, and they look like chains from crocheting. So now to sew this together into a cowl, all you need to do is to line up all the knit stitches. So you're looking at all knit stitches, because the back side of this looks very different from the front side of this. So the back side looks like that. So to sew this together, you have 2 choices. You can sew it together with all the knit stitches in facing one side, or you could choose to turn it and sew the back side to the front side like that, so it has like a twist in it. But really with these scarves, there's no need to twist it. So I'm going to show you how to sew these sides together. So I've got it all laid out flat here. I've got all my knit stitches facing up, and then I've got my 2 strands here, and I could start by just tying these 2 together. Your strands may not land up together like this. You might have one down here and one up here. So I'm just going to tie those together. And then I would just take one strand and put them through, like grab 2 from each side like this, and just hand weave this through. And if you want to, you could put a needle on the end of the yarn and just weave it through with a needle. And be sure to watch on our YouTube channel, which is Maggie Weldon. There's a whole playlist of arm knitting projects and tips. So it'll show you another variation of sewing it together. So all you do is like that and then weave that end in. But that's how you make the arm knitted cowl. I just love this stuff. Isn't that beautiful? The color is beautiful. It's great. So everything, well, it's this yarn is available at maggiescrochet.com, and I want to thank you for watching. And this video is part of a channel which is called Maggie Weldon. And if you subscribe to the channel, then you'll know as soon as new videos come out, which is every week. So I want to thank you for watching. Enjoy your arm knitting.